waiting until we turn on the camera to be all nasty.
I was nasty before. You're just waiting on it.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back. So today we are talking about sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about
Okay. So seriously though,
that's a serious song.
it is. And someone asked this specific question about what do you do when you and your spouse have different sex drives. And
real thing.
that is a real thing. And I think a lot of people encounter this issue.
It's a problem. Okay? Just call it what it is, a problem. Need a solution.
But here's the
need
thing.
to work on it.
Here's the thing. I think the first important thing to remember is that it's not you versus your spouse. It was never us versus each other. It is y'all versus the problem. Y'all versus the problem. And so I think that is the first important mindset to take on.
Amen.
When you have an issue like this. Because I think immediately we always want to go, well, what's your problem? Well, what's your problem? What's your problem? And then it's one versus the other.
So that's what you was doing. Got it.
I was doing that. So clearly we have had this issue historically. Early in our relationship, when we argued a lot. There was a season of our relationship where we argued a lot, and this was
90% of the time
the reason why we
never argued. About finances.
We didn't argue about any of the typical things. I think the more typical things.
Kids,
none of that. We argued. It was all about sex and why you want to have sex all the time, and why I don't want to have sex all the time. And I think first when you encounter that, you look at, and for other people it could be different, but you look at the other person. I know I looked at you like, what's your problem? Why? But I think it's a cycle because it can first go to, what's your problem? And then I get so frustrated, I'd be like, what's wrong with me? Like, am I not fulfilling you completely? That was a big issue for me is, am I not fulfilling you completely? And his rebuttal was, no, you just fulfill me so greatly. I want to have it more, more often.
Truth is truth. That's my Bible says.
But still, and so I struggled within myself, but then we also struggled with each other because there was no resolution. We never had a resolution, and so it kept coming up over and over again.
She tricked me.
I didn't trick you.
Yeah, you did.
It was extremely, enjoying it and being in the moment. Help me out, please.
Yeah, I got you.
Was never an issue. It was all about, the desire for him, for wanting more. And when we talk about sexual drives, right, you have this side of the spectrum and you have this side of the spectrum. We are completely on separate ends of that spectrum.
Well, and think about it. Think about our love languages. My love language is physical. Yours is acts of service.
Exactly.
Physical love language is literally your second to last.
Yes.
Acts of service is my second to last.
Yes.
Gifts being our last on
right.
both sides. But just the fact that we're on different spectrums when it comes to our love language, that educated us a lot.
It did.
Mindset wise, where we were when it comes to feeling love.
It did. That was a huge part of the solution, but I think before we got there.
Oh, it was a long time before we got there.
It was a long time before we got there, and there was a lot of rebellious behavior from my perspective. I don't know about on your side, but I know for me, I rebelled, especially if I felt like I was giving you an adequate amount of loving. I'm like, you don't need anymore. You're just being greedy. I used to be like, you're just being greedy. It's never enough for you. And I took on this rebellious attitude about it, which was not the right attitude to have. Now tell from your perspective.
I thought I wasn't attractive.
Seriously?
I was like, man, she must not be attracted to me. I don't understand why she don't want me all the time.
But
like,
did you ever consider how much we were having sex?
I was like, man, I was getting more than everybody I knew. I ain't gonna
But
lie.
that didn't. But that
probably
wasn't.
still do. But I'm just saying, I knew I was, blessed. I don't get it. I knew that but I still wanted more. And
because of that feeling you had?
Yeah, because it is more than just a feeling, it's internal. See, that's my way of
rebelling.
Of loving.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that before we got educated, I was thinking I was showing you the utmost love by always wanting you.
Oh, yeah.
Always complimenting you. Always, whatever I see and felt, I said it. It came out my mouth and I showed it. So, therefore, me thinking that way, because that was the way I love. That's
loved. The way you love, right?
You know what I'm saying? So, therefore, I was like, boom. And then when I got rejected, it's like, you don't want my loving? You know what I'm saying? But then again, you probably felt the same way when, like you said, when you was cleaning the house, when you was keeping everything right.
That part, but even just staying on the sex realm, when you would want more and more, I'm like, am I seriously not enough? This was me, I must not be enough. He must, just require more. Like, I can't satisfy you. That was the thought, is I can't satisfy you. And that wasn't the case. But see, and it's all about that communication, but not just communication, but knowing how to articulate the feelings that you're having. And that is very difficult, which is why I think lines of communication, staying open in general, is so important.
And we communicated very well.
We did. We just never had a resolution.
Yeah. And not only that, we weren't educated.
We weren't. And
in that realm yet.
Right, you're right.
So as we continually get more mature spiritually, doors started opening up for solution.
Right.
And, one of those biggest things was sacrifice.
Yes.
When I'm feeling a certain way, I had to, like, hey, David, you just got done.
Yeah.
You need to go ahead and sit your butt down. And I had to sacrifice the way I felt internally.
Right.
And say, look, man, you need to go do something else. Go work, read a book, get on something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I did that. And the same thing with you told me with you was you sacrificed, like, okay, this dude, I know who he is.
I really think that's where the love languages really came in, and us being educated on, what is his love language? First of all, what is his love language? And knowing that it was physical touch, right? So many things made sense. Oh, that's how he loves. That's how he shows love. Oh, okay. So it was actually something else going on. And knowing that mine is not physical touch, not even close. I'm sure it made sense for you as to why I wasn't the same. Not rebellious, but why I didn't have the drive that you had. We're just different. You're so silly. We're just different. And so with that understanding came the opportunity for appreciation and appreciating that, okay, this is how you love. I can now that I understand that, I can appreciate that. And then with that came with a better desire, a greater desire to be willing to sacrifice, which is really what love is all about in the first place. Is sacrificing for the other person. Amen. And so now that I know that he loves physical touch is how he loves, I sacrifice within myself to do more of that for him. And vice versa, since he knows that physical touch is not mine, he will tame himself down some and try to love me in the way that I feel loved, which is acts of service.
Yeah,
and it does. And so I think this is it was a process.
It definitely was a process.
That first half was a big learning. That was years of, going through it, but we don't want y'all to go through all that. Listen, if you want to think of that, know now that it's about understanding. Communication, understanding, appreciating them who they are, and then sacrificing for each other. When both of you sacrifice, you both win. The relationship wins.
Amen.
Right?
We
win. Yes.
Amen.
Absolutely. So anyway, we did good. We got a whole 30 seconds left.
Yeah, man. You want to dance it out?
Hey. No. Anyway, y'all, leave us comments. Let us know if you have any more questions.
And then sometimes you just this to go work for women and men. Sometimes you is just being greedy.
That part.
It is what it is.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.